The golden arches reflected in the tears she couldn't quite blink away. 24 years old, Emma Harrison was about to learn that some lessons aren't taught in teaching college. The McDonald's on Maple Street sat across from Jefferson Elementary like a greasy guardian angel. Grace Sullivan had managed this franchise for 3 years, long enough to know which orders meant celebration and which meant survival. Emma's happy meal was definitely survival. Grace watched as the young teacher sat alone in the corner booth, carefully arranging chicken nuggets like lesson plans. The woman's shoulders carried that particular weight Grace recognized, the kind that came from smiling through things that should make you scream. "New teacher," Kevin Anderson whispered, sliding fries into the warmer. The 17-year-old had observational skills that came from staying quiet in loud places. "Miss Harrison, she taught my little sister today." Grace nodded, her fingers unconsciously tracing the thin scar on her wrist, a reminder of her own survival story. "First day?" "Yeah. Sarah came home talking about how nice she was, how she actually remembered everyone's names." The bell chimed, and the atmosphere shifted like weather before a storm. Nathan Peterson entered the way teenage boys do when they're trying to be men, too loud, taking up too much space. 6 feet 2 inches quarterback muscle and daddy issues wrapped in a Letterman jacket that might as well have been armor. Grace's hand found the panic button under the counter. Not pressing, just finding. "Evening, boys," she said, her voice carrying that particular manager's tone that said, "I see you without saying I'm watching you." Nathan's group scattered to claim their usual table. Emma didn't look up from her nuggets. "Yo, isn't that Miss Harrison?" Jake, a wiry kid with hands that always seemed to be reaching for something, pointed with his chin. "The new teacher." Nathan's head turned and Grace watched his expression shift through recognition, interest, and something darker. Well, Nathan drawled. "Little Miss Harrison eating all alone." Emma's shoulders tightened, but she kept her eyes on her food. Kevin dropped a basket of fries, the crash making everyone jump. He created a distraction, giving Emma a chance to leave. She didn't take it. Instead, Emma looked up. "Nathan," she said, her voice steady as a ruler's edge. "How nice to see you. How's your mother? I have a conference with her next week." It was beautifully done, reminding him of authority, of consequences, of boundaries that were supposed to exist between students and teachers. Nathan's face flushed, and Grace recognized the exact moment his embarrassment curdled into anger. "She's good," Nathan said, standing up. "Real good." They approached Emma's table with casual menace. Jake already had his phone out, recording. Emma stood, gathering her purse. "I was just leaving." "What's the rush?" Nathan moved to block her path. "Stay and chat. We're all adults here, right, Nathan?" Emma's teacher voice was slipping. "Please move." "Or what? You'll give me detention?" "Actually, she can." Grace stepped out from behind the counter. "This is a family restaurant. You're disturbing customers." "We're just talking to our old teacher, right, Miss H?" Grace saw Emma's hand shaking where she clutched her purse, not with fear, but with the effort of holding something back. "I really need to go," Emma said. "My mother is expecting me." Nathan reached out and plucked the Happy Meal box from her table. "Look at this, boys. Our hot new teacher eats Happy Meals. That's adorable." He peered inside. "You going to play with the toy later?" The words were juvenile, but the tone was anything but. "Give that back," Emma said. "Why? It's just trash now, right?" Nathan tossed the box to Jake. "Unless it means something. Please." The word came out smaller than Emma probably intended. "Just give it back." Grace moved closer, Kevin beside her. "You know what?" Nathan's voice had gone soft, dangerous. "I'll give it back, but you have to ask nicely. Really nicely." Please, Nathan, Emma said, her voice steady despite everything. Give me back my property and let me leave. Property? It's a $5 kids meal. But sure, I'll give it back. He held out the box and Emma reached for it. As she did, his other hand moved quick as a snake and connected with her body in a way that made everyone freeze. The sound was sharp, distinct, flesh meeting flesh in violence disguised as play. Emma stumbled forward, her face crumbling into something worse than pain. Shame. Still hot, Nathan announced to his phone camera. Just wanted to check. The Happy Meal box fell, spilling nuggets across the floor. For exactly 3 seconds, nobody moved. Then Kevin dropped another tray, this time on purpose. That's it. Grace's voice came out like she'd swallowed gravel. Nobody moves. Nobody leaves. She vaulted over the counter. Kevin, lock the doors. You can't, Nathan started. I can and I am. Grace positioned herself between Emma and the boys, already reaching for her phone. 911. This is Grace Sullivan at the McDonald's on Maple. I need police here immediately. Sexual assault in progress. Sexual assault? Nathan's face went white. It was just a joke. I barely touched her. You put your hands on her without consent, Grace said. That's assault, and you filmed it. That's evidence. Emma hadn't moved. She stood exactly where Nathan had left her, arms wrapped around herself. Emma, Grace said, gentle but firm. Are you hurt? A tiny headshake, then barely audible. I'm okay. This is insane, Nathan said. My mom's the principal. Your mom's about to find out what her son really is. Grace cut him off. Sit down, all of you. The police will be here in 3 minutes. Sirens in the distance, growing closer. You're ruining my life over nothing, Nathan exploded. I'm supposed to get a football scholarship. You destroyed everything, Grace said quietly. The moment you decided her body was yours to touch. The police were at the door now. Officer Janet Williams leading the way. Grace. Janet's eyes took in the scene quickly. What's the situation? Sexual assault. The victim is Emma Harrison. The perpetrator is Nathan Peterson. There are witnesses and video evidence. That's a lie. Nathan stood up. I didn't assault anyone. Don't touch that phone. Janet froze Jake mid-delete. Miss Harrison. Janet approached Emma carefully. I'm Officer Williams. Can you tell me what happened? Emma straightened. Nathan Peterson slapped my buttocks without my consent, she said, each word precise as a blade. He and his friends cornered me, mocked me, and when I tried to leave, he assaulted me. They filmed it. More officers arrived. Grace noticed how they positioned themselves, creating a barrier between Emma and the boys. Ma'am, you're the one who called? An officer addressed Grace. Yes, I'm the manager. I witnessed the assault and immediately locked down the restaurant to preserve the scene and prevent the perpetrators from leaving. We'll need statements from everyone, Janet said. Miss Harrison, would you be more comfortable giving yours somewhere private? Emma shook her head. No. I want everyone to hear. I want them to know exactly what he did. And she told them, clear, unflinching, every detail. Nathan Peterson. Janet's voice was formal. You're under arrest for sexual battery. You have the right to remain silent. As they cuffed him, Nathan screamed, Mom! Call my mom. She'll fix this. I'll come with you, Grace said to Emma. If you want, you shouldn't have to do this alone. Emma's eyes filled with tears. You don't even know me. I know enough, Grace said firmly. I know you're brave. I know you stood up when it would have been easier to stay down. The tears spilled over, and Grace opened her arms. Emma fell into them. Thank you, Emma whispered. Thank you for seeing, for stopping it, for believing me. Always, Grace whispered back. At the station, Emma gave her statement. As she finished, one of Nathan's friends was crying. Jake had handed over his phone without being asked twice. A commotion erupted. Linda Peterson had arrived. My son! I demand to see my son immediately. She spotted Emma. You? What lies have you been telling about my boy? Ma'am, you need to leave. Janet stepped between them. Investigation? Linda's laugh was sharp. For what? Boys being boys. Sexual assault isn't a joke, Grace said, standing. Miss Harrison, surely we can handle this without involving the police, Linda said. You're new here. You don't understand how things work in Riverside. I understand perfectly, Emma said. Your son sexually assaulted me in public, filmed it, and laughed about it. Do you have any idea what you're doing? Nathan has a future. Scholarships. You'd ruin his life over a moment of poor judgment. He ruined his own life, Emma replied. I'm just refusing to help him hide it. This isn't over, Linda hissed. I'll have your badge. I'll make sure she never teaches again. You'll what? A new voice from the doorway. Kevin Anderson stood there. Threaten her? Like mother, like son, I guess. Kevin? Linda turned, confused. What are you doing here? Being a witness, he said simply. See, the thing is, Mrs. Peterson, your son's done this before. A lot. He held up his phone. After you arrested Nathan, some of us started talking, comparing stories, sharing videos. Your son has a whole collection. Girls at parties, waitresses, that substitute teacher last year who left after a week. That's impossible, Linda whispered. I've got 17 videos, Kevin continued. Different girls, different places, same Nathan. Same laugh, same it's just a joke. He looked at Emma. You weren't the first. You were just the first one someone stood up for. I'll need that phone, Janet said. Kevin handed it over. There's a group chat. Peterson's hits. They rate them like it's a game. Linda sank into a chair. No, Nathan wouldn't. He's a predator, Janet said bluntly. And you enabled him. Janet's radio crackled. We've got 3 more girls here wanting to file reports. 4. A young woman stepped into view. I want to file a report too, from 2 years ago. I didn't think anyone would believe me then, but... She looked at Emma. Thank you for being brave enough to make them listen. The next 3 hours blurred together. More victims came forward. Grace never left Emma's side. By midnight, Nathan Peterson had been charged with multiple counts of sexual battery. Emma's phone exploded with messages. Some supportive, but others attention-seeking. He was just playing. Hope you're happy ruining his life. Grace drove her home. When Emma started hyperventilating, Grace pulled over. They hate me, Emma gasped. The whole town hates me. No, Grace corrected. The loud ones hate you. But did you see how many girls came forward? Did you see Kevin standing up? At Emma's apartment, Grace offered to stay. Emma's phone rang, her mother's ringtone. Hi, Mom. Emma Jane Harrison. I just saw the news. Are you all right? I'm okay. I stood up, Mom. Someone helped me stand up. I'm so proud of you. Your father would be too. After she hung up, Emma really cried for the first time. Grace held her through it. What happens now? Emma asked. Now you sleep. Tomorrow you get up. You go to work. You teach. You show this town that you're not ashamed because you have nothing to be ashamed of. That simple? That hard? Grace corrected. But that possible. The next morning, Emma stood outside Jefferson Elementary. Some parents waved, others avoided eye contact. A few stopped to squeeze her hand, to whisper, Good for you. Marcus Chun, the PE teacher, was waiting by her classroom. Thought you might want some backup today. By lunch, Emma had allies she didn't know existed. They formed a protective circle without planning it, but the worst was still pretty bad. A parent stood in her doorway after school. I wanted to let you know I'm pulling Kay from your class. I don't want her learning from someone who destroys young men's futures. That's your choice, Mrs. Davis. Emma kept her voice level. But I'd ask you to think about what lesson you're teaching Kay. That when someone hurts her, she should stay quiet to protect their future? Mrs. Davis left without answering, but Emma saw her pause, doubt flickering. The preliminary hearing was set for 2 weeks out. Nathan's expensive lawyer filed motion after motion. Diane knocked down each argument with surgical precision. Your Honor, the defense would have us believe that 17 different women who don't know each other all conspired to frame this poor innocent football star. That's not a defense. That's desperation. Judge Margaret Foster was 70 years old and took no nonsense. I've reviewed the evidence. I've watched the videos, all of them. And Mr. Peterson, I want you to know that in my 40 years on this bench, I've rarely seen such clear documentation of serial predatory behavior. This case will go to trial. Bail is set at $50,000 per count. As they filed out, an older woman touched Emma's shoulder. I'm Nathan's grandmother, his father's mother, and I want to apologize. We saw the signs, but we stayed quiet because that's what families do, right? We protect our own. Protecting him from consequences wasn't protecting him at all, the woman continued. It was creating a monster, and I'm sorry it took you being hurt for us to finally see that. The trial was set for 6 months out. But something unexpected happened. The community created a petition for mandatory consent education. They organized self-defense classes. They started a hotline for assault victims. Emma taught her third graders during the day and attended court prep in the evenings. You know what one of my students asked me today? Emma told Grace one evening. She asked if being brave meant you weren't scared. And I told her no. Being brave means doing the right thing even when you're terrified. Smart kid. Smart teacher. Emma smiled, and it almost reached her eyes. I'm starting to believe it myself. The night before trial, Kevin appeared at her classroom door. Thought you might want to see this. He handed her a card. Inside, hundreds of signatures. We stand with you. It was Sarah's idea, Kevin said. She said her teacher was the bravest person she knew. And brave people shouldn't stand alone. Emma cried then, good tears for once. Thank you, Emma told Kevin. Tell Sarah brave recognizes brave. Tomorrow would bring the trial, the verdict, the next chapter. But tonight, she was exactly where she belonged. Grace texted. Dinner at my place? Made too much pasta. Also, you shouldn't be alone tonight. Emma smiled, a real one this time. Be there in 20. Her phone rang, another reporter. This time she answered. Yes, this is Emma Harrison. Yes, I'll talk to you because silence is what let this happen for so long. And I'm done being silent. As she spoke, walking through a town that would never be the same, Emma realized something. She'd come to Riverside to matter, to make a difference. She just hadn't expected the lesson plan to include teaching an entire community that a woman's body was not public property, that boys would only be boys if we let them, and that sometimes the most important education happened outside the classroom.